response video to 3 videos. This guy, G1981C guy, probably a Piro video and conference report. And so I guess I'll play parts of these videos and then just respond to them without playing the whole thing and all that kind of stuff. So, anyway. Yeah, just this general subject of how you do this whole human, whatever, depopulation thing. Yeah, I've been, I'm sort of in a weird place, just because I was dreaming about it before, and my dream had these rolling numbers, like there was numbers attached to everything. And I don't exactly know what it meant, but it was sort of interesting because it almost seemed like it was a reoccurring dream. It's like my dream was thinking about other dreams that it had, and it was analyzing the old dreams. I mean, when you're doing dream analysis in your dream, it's a little bit weird. And yeah, and so even in my dream, I couldn't quite figure out what the numbers meant. But I'm just assuming it has some sort of value equation kind of thing, like, how you're running a deficit in life, where the exchange rate and all that kind of stuff and whatever. But it was just really strange. So, yeah, and I guess I'm frustrated by the conversation because, yeah, it's always going to come down to this emotional crap. No one's ever going to be able to have a strictly sterile conversation. So it's like sort of doomed from the start in that sense. But then, it's the wrong way to look at it, of course. Because, maybe people can get it. I don't know. I mean, if I got it, other people should be able to get it. So there's that simple argument. But yeah, now that I've got it, it's just so hard to see. It's like once you fall into the Wonderland, or once you fall out of Wonderland, it's like those two worlds just can't mix. And it's almost like the dream. It's like I can't understand the dream when I'm out of the dream, and when I'm in the dream, somehow the dream does make sense to some extent. So, what do you do about that conflict? And it's like once you get it, it's really hard to see how people can't get it. And when you don't get it, I'm sure getting it seems like the weird thing. So anyway, well, see where it goes. So anyway, I'll play a minute of these videos and then respond after a minute or so. Thank you very much.
You have to be able to convince everybody. And the irony of it all is that those who you would be able to influence would actually have made the best parents, most likely.
Yeah, I like this guy. He's got some really bad cuts, really bad edits, but yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, so the argument basically is yeah, okay, I can get it intellectually. This implementing thing, though, yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah, well, look, the bottom line is there's this, like with all policy that exists, you get to a certain consensus of opinion, and that consensus gives you the authority to tell the minority they can't do what they're doing. I mean, theoretically, murderers might be right? Mass murderers, maybe that's the way we should go. But obviously they lost the argument. They're a tiny minority, and so they lose, and they have to go to jail. So yeah, that's the game. I mean, you get to a certain point of agreement, and then you're just going to have to tell the rest of the people, well, that's just the way it is, fellas. And look, it really isn't that big a sacrifice. Not fucking reproducing, not creating your own little Frankenstein monster. And that's what it comes down to. It's basically a law against being Dr. Frankenstein. Is hardly draconian. It's hardly saying, I'm going to rip your skin off or something. No, it's only if you're going to be a resistant asshole that you're going to get your skin ripped off. You only pay a price if you're an asshole. So it's not that big a deal. I don't think. And as I stated before in the other video, even if it was a big deal, by the whole psychology and philosophy of the whole reason why you're doing it is because you see a long-term gain for a short-term pain. And so you would still say it was worth investing in. Yeah.
Even though, obviously, that cannot happen. But let's assume that it can. What then? Well, we still have the apes, which can still evolve back into humans. Yeah, it's gonna take some time.
Yeah, well, this argument keeps coming up. This whole like, how far back do you go? And yeah, no, I don't know how people have misunderstood, but I've never made the argument that we would leave nature intact. I mean, my argument is that we would blow it back into the Stone Age. I mean, way, way back. Knock it back a friggin' million years, and it's gonna have a hard time doing all the stuff that it did all over again. Some of this stuff is pretty complicated. This sentience thing, intelligence, these aren't easy events in evolution, I don't think, and so I don't think they're going to reoccur. So if you knock it back far enough, you'll be okay. The other argument is that you kind of do, if getting to this point is going to create a scenario where, yeah, you're going to stop a lot of good people from having babies, and so you end up with a dumber world. But that's just inevitable. It's like, hey, there's certain things you either win or you lose. That's the way it is. You either win, you either get all the way there, or you don't. So like if you're building a building and you only build it halfway, nobody can live in it when it's half built. It's a failure. It's just a complete waste. It's just funny metal in the air, and it doesn't mean anything. And so, but if you finish it, you win. Then it's worth something. So yeah, the whole objective has no value if you don't get across the finish line. If you're anywhere short of the finish line, it's failure, and you only win if you get over the finish line, kind of thing.
Uh, Basically, people are being chemically neutered by additives in water and food.
Yeah, well, whatever. So it goes into a little bit of this conspiracy stuff. But anyway, the argument sort of is that you have to do this forced thing, the China policy, all that kind of stuff. One child. And yeah, you do. I think there's better ways to do it. I have a whole voucher idea where you give everybody a voucher and we decrease human population through that mechanism because then people can still have more than one kid. But anyway, it doesn't, I mean, this, I can't, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't, the way we do it is much less important than getting it done, than just doing it. So I don't even care. If I could press a button and just blow it all up, I just press it because I'm convinced human beings are insane. And so they will abuse their intelligence. They'll abuse everything. They're just dirty, stinking bugs. And yeah, I'd blow them the fuck up. So yeah, anything short of that is okay. We got to do it this the hard way with their cooperation. Fine. But that's how I'm looking at it. I mean, I don't even look at it as if I'm a human anymore. I am the anti-human. The anti-human.
In population, and accompanied with the increase in overall quality of life.
So basically, he's just asking me what I think of Bill Gates giving away free condoms or this new world order idea of reducing population. And I'm all, yeah, sure, fine. If they can get it done, do it. Yeah, why not? Free condoms? Yeah, I think the government should be doing that now. Shouldn't be waiting for Bill Gates to do it. I don't know how many he's actually given away. But anyway, yeah, I just don't, so far, I just don't see a dent in this thing. People keep talking about how it's not a problem. There's still twice as many people being born every year as there are dying every year. So that sounds like a problem to me. And, it doesn't seem like anybody's doing much of anything about it. And if you have to wait 200 or 300 years for this bus to slow down, you're going to be so far over the cliff by then, it ain't going to fucking matter. So, yeah.
If you have a plan, it's better than that of the New World Order.
Alright, so he's basically asking how is my plan better than New World Order plan, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, look, there's a whole lot of this politics stuff. I would pay people not to have kids, so that would work even better at reducing population among the poor. If that's if that's the criteria. Yeah, and I just don't buy this whole argument that the spawn of the rich or the well-off or even the middle class are definitely higher character human beings. Sorry. But yeah, it wouldn't matter. It just doesn't. It just doesn't matter. The point is the argument's always going to have to be made, and the argument has to be made in such a way that people are going to get it. And so they're going to have to be socialized with it. They're going to have to be used to hearing this conversation. It's going to have to be part of the public conversation and even be in the schools where these equations of pain and suffering might even be written on a chalkboard, and there might be some evaluation of, yeah, this is the dilemma of being a sentient organism, is that you have to first create this desire mechanism, and then you have to create some sort of medium in which you can get what you desire without hurting some other person who's vulnerable. And that this is very, very complicated and difficult to do. And that's the dilemma of the human race. And maybe if one of you little maggots can figure out how that we can actually do that, how we can satisfy our desires and our ego and our great love affair with singing "We Are the Champions" or some other bullshit, and not be competitive morons, how exactly we unravel all of that psychology and play this game in any kind of ethical manner. But yeah, that's not taking place, obviously. No one's writing on chalkboards human, welfare of the animals we eat equals fail. I mean, it's just not happening. So that whole, I think once that is on a chalkboard, it won't, it won't, the equation isn't going to be about who the parents are. The equation is going to be about who's the society. Yeah, something like that anyway. But thanks for the video and such. So, moving on to, I guess we'll go to Piero next. Save conference report for last because I'm punishing him. Or something like that. Worship the DNA. Yeah, this is a piece of real pyro crapola. Anyway, go ahead. I blocked him after seeing this piece of shit. So I'll go play a minute of it again. I don't know if I watched the whole thing before or not, but it's only 4 minutes, so it shouldn't be too painful. Alright, I'm not going to go a whole minute. Yeah, this is just such a... Well, anyway, I'm just going to play this little clip of Piero.
That game, what are you worshipping, derived energy? Ooh, it's pain. Pain. I hurt my ankle playing soccer. Pain. It's a neurological thing.
Alright, so again, we're back to this stupid, idiotic argument. It's not even part of the philosophical argument. That somehow, anybody who's talking about the anti-natalism thing is talking about it because, yeah, they stubbed their toe. And that's, oh yeah, that was too much, and so now they hate life. I mean, this is just so trivial, to trivialize the suffering that goes on in the world with this kind of bullshit. That it even is about the word pain itself. Is pain the only sensation? Is that the only unpleasant sensation you've ever experienced, is pain? You haven't experienced any other unpleasant sensations, like harsh, disgusting revulsion, bitter, just soul-eating anger. You really haven't experienced any other sensation that you find. You haven't ever puked? I mean, what the fuck are you keep talking about this? We're talking about misery and suffering and, chronic pain. Not like, oh, I hurt my ankle on the soccer field and later I'll have a beer. No, we're talking about, like, chronic pain, you asshole. Enduring harsh suffering where people are afraid they're going to choke to death when they drink because they're so sick. I mean, fuck you. This is such a disgusting insult. You fucking trivial piece of shit. God, I hate your guts and such. Man, this is just such a... But it's the same old bullshit. You just keep distracting from the argument. You won't directly quote anybody. You just play these kinds of jackass games. Fuck you. I mean, yeah, keep dragging the argument to your fucking phantasmagorical... Why don't you just come up with some kind of asshole theory like, there's a silver lining inside the clouds. I'm sure it's there, and it will solve all of humanity's problems. Why don't you come up with some completely jackass theory so we can all waste our time explaining to you how there's no Goldilocks and there's no three bears. Because that's all you're doing. Every time there's a conversation, you drag it into this fucking bullshit theater of nonsense. Fuck you.
This is exploration. If you want to compare gods, your God is a god of fear. DNA is a quote-unquote god of production, positivity, of exploration. You know, you could use it's your god argument, but all you've done is
Positivity of exploration, consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction. Asshole. I mean, not even close. Exploration. Yeah, that's what the DNA is doing. It's exploring. Oh, what a joke. So yeah, just totally ignore the fact that what this is about is some stupid, idiotic, unwinnable game where you create a deprivation, a negative state inside of this sentient organism, compel it to chase after these stupid bits that have no real meaning except to them because they're addicted to them, and then oblige them to do it in an arena where they have to steal it from each other or they have to exploit each other to get it, and then call that win. Yeah, sorry. Now that's called being totally owned, asshole.
saying if it was telling us something by producing this pain function, by giving us this ability to feel pain, because that's what you guys are complaining about.
No, and that's not what we're complaining about. We're talking about suffering and misery, which you're ignoring, which exist in these other sentient creatures that aren't carrots, asshole. You don't even understand the concept of neurological sensation, apparently, because you think it exists in things that don't have neurology. And then you'll sit here and patronize people by telling them how pain works evolutionarily, and you haven't figured out that fucking carrots don't have neurons. I mean, fuck you. You have no authority to be instructing other people in grammar school biology, dickhead.
Used or your legs being cut off to the DNA. It's not appropriate. At least the DNA programs us with other responses. And again, if you don't have those responses, you have a malady.
Yeah, well, look, you're going to play this game talking about how we're incentivized to keep ourselves in one piece. Yeah, why don't you talk about the erroneous and pointless incentives that have been created to oblige us to reproduce, all right, and to play this competitive thing, this whole ego construction. All right, I'm going to be king of an irrelevant, stupid mountain of mediocrity. And talk about how we're really not designed to be satisfied. We're designed to be perpetually dissatisfied and to perpetually feel incomplete. The DNA does not allow you to have this, I finished my task, I'm done, now I can sit on the couch for a few trillion years. No, that doesn't happen, asshole. Why don't you get to that more on point subject?
As a damage. It's keeping you focused on it as a negative thing. But let me tell you something. When you look at the world and say, shit, this world is so bad it's not worth living, what you're supposed to do is change the damned world. Supposed to be an activist. What you're supposed to do is change the damned world. Supposed to be an activist. Gary, people always wonder, why does Gary get a break? Well, one reason Gary gets a break is because I see that he has been an activist. And to a varying degree, is an activist of various sorts, trying to change the damned world. And that's what you're supposed to do when you say this life isn't.
Yeah, again, this is just so off subject. You know nothing about derived energy's life history. So what does this have to do with anything? You don't earn credentials by how many cats you've petted in your life, or some other thing that you've done that is going to help change the world or buy into a dead system. And that's all this is. This change the world crap is just buying into a dead. It's a dead idea. It has no potential. We see that there's no potential for it. Where are you going to go with this crap? There's no practical way to describe how you get this fucking human being to any kind of survivable or sustainable fucking future. It's not going to happen, daydreamer. And the responsible thing to do is to realize the human race basically has got rabies and it's time to just shoot the fucker. So this is just all fail. And yeah, don't cut me any breaks, please.
Worth living. You're not supposed to say, therefore life has a problem. It didn't be worth living, goddamn it. No, it's whatever's getting in the way of it being worth living. That's what the pain system is trying to make you look at. What do you need to change? What is being interpreted as damage? And it's not everything, not in reality. It's just everything for you because you've been a slave for thousands.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, and you've liberated yourself by being an irresponsible reproducer. So you've done exactly what the DNA wants. You're just complaining because everybody else isn't following your dumbass lead. Well, sorry. No, you're the failure. You're the one that keeps the human race enslaved. You're the one feeding it with more fodder to grind up. You haven't changed the world. You didn't clean up the fucking house before you laid your egg in it. So fuck you. Yeah, no sale. And completely off subject, really. This video was just completely off subject. Alright, now for conference report. Yeah, most of his video he's just sort of going through the evolution thing, which is okay. Drake equation stuff. The unlikelihoods of different stages of our evolution, the fact that they are basically, it's all that, plateau stuff. It's like, all these people keep talking the same stuff. There's some similarity, some crossover, whatever you want to call that. Dawkins and Dennett and the rest of it, they do say this stuff, which is good. But yeah, that's, this is not, getting to any one of the plateaus in evolution is a challenge. There's obstacles to it and improbabilities, and we only see it as being something that's must have been just because we're sitting on top of it after it already happened. We're the lottery ticket winner, so we think it was easy, even if there was a 1 in gazillion tickets sold. We're still going to think, yeah, that was pretty easy. I just paid $1 and I won. So anyway, then he gets to the point of talking about the end.
Almost sacrilege to say we should kill the animals, you know what I mean? Unless you plan to kill them and eat them. But even people who aren't vegetarians, it seems to me, have this very romantic view of animal life. I mean, I include them.
Yeah, I know, but what does that have to do with anything? Isn't the whole point is to have some sort of intelligent conversation or make intelligent arguments? I mean, concede, yes, they have emotional attachments, but if people are just going to act on emotion, if we can't even convince them that their emotions are not their intelligence, and oblige them to make rational counter arguments before they do something, well, then what's the point? And quite obviously, if you consider 1 billion years of 500 million years of sentient organisms eating each other, one final wipeout, one kill-off is going to be an infinitesimal amount of suffering in the amount of suffering endured by animal life. So even if it was done harsh and brutal and quick, so what? I mean, it would be just stupid to worry about calculating that suffering as meaning something because you're preventing so much in the future. You just can't lose. It's a no-lose. Even if you did it insidiously sloppy, you'd still win because of how much you prevented.
So for me, I walk around, and a universe without that tiger or without that leopard or without that fish eagle, it's kind of hard to imagine, and it feels sacrilegious to say, well, maybe we should just let these things go extinct.
Yeah, sacrilegious again. Well, so like I said, what's the point? If we're always going to concede to our emotions and we're not going to concede to logic and making the best rational argument, then humans are super fail.
Calmly and quietly. Or maybe we should introduce organisms that sterilize them. I don't know if such a thing exists, but would it be possible to infect all these wild animals with organisms that simply render them sterile so that they do wean themselves off? So the last sentient creature on this ark.
Yeah, that was actually kind of a James Bond episode. One of the villains had that idea, I think. And then he was going to repopulate the earth with his, whatever. I mean, they always turn into something evil, like his master race kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, he had it right, yeah. Most of it. He had 99% of it right and just got the last minute wrong.
Is humans. Yeah, and sure, we're doing horrible things to one another, but maybe we need to look after the animals first. And of course, a lot of people will say, well, you're upsetting the balance of nature, you know. And of course, yes, you are upsetting the balance of nature. But it's not really a balance, is it? That's something that we've invented, that idea. And we get all huffy about animals.
Yeah, well, that's sort of an argument that's already been made. But yeah, I mean, obviously there is no, the balance of nature is the balance of addiction and cannibalism. What the fuck balance is there in that nonsense?
Going extinct, an endangered species, and we should protect endangered species. But maybe we shouldn't, you know, if an animal's got a congenital disease which causes it to feel pain constantly, and that's just the way that the animal lives its life, would it be moral to protect that species of animal simply because there's only a few of them left? I don't think anyone would think so. But in a sense, picking up on what you say, sentience is a kind of congenital disease that's been inflicted upon us by blind forces of evolution. And maybe it's time to abandon it, but we can abandon it from the ground up, I would say. Let nature go to shit for a while, you know. Just let the deer die off, let the beautiful ones. It would be quite painful for us because we have an emotional attachment to looking at these things. But we'd have to make that sacrifice. Just let these things die off, let the dogs die off one by one, put off Phoebe. I mean, I'd let it go out quietly, of course. But just make sure that they don't have any more of them. Let the balance of nature shift under.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point here, right? It's the more of thing. It's not like life is diminished in some way or something's taken away. It's just this idea the only thing taken away is the right to continue making Frankensteins. I mean, it's pretty silly to argue about the lament. Oh, I don't have a right to perform insidious experiments on sentient creatures anymore. Yeah, right. So that's really a horror is now? That's the new horror? That you lack the right to play Frankenstein?
And then when everything's gone, there's just humans left. You know, then we can decide individually or collectively whether we too would like to.
Well, whatever. It would be no point in individually or collective. You either do it or you don't do it. Okay, it's the Adam and Eve thing again. You can't leave anything behind. All right, there's no point in you individually deciding not to perpetuate the human race if you're going to leave Adam and Eve in the closet.
Join the silence of the rest of space. Yeah, something like that. Anyway.
Well, we're fairly silent in the whole scheme of space anyway, also. So, yeah, that's sort of bogus. But anyway, yeah, lament. Again, until we come up with some other definition of what we're accomplishing, you know, what other logical conclusion is there? There's no accomplishment, there's this huge risk of suffering, and the only thing in between is this perception of value created by insane and insatiable desire. I mean, is it more complicated than that? No, I don't think so. Alright, so it's probably enough of a video. Yeah, I mean, concessions have to be made to the emotionality of people and even their religion and all this other stuff, and you got to argue through all that crap. But I'm just saying that there's nothing. You can't confuse emotion with a logical argument. So there really isn't any logic so far. There isn't a rational argument so far defending this as being any more than an accident and a product of a DNA molecule that's attempting to take over the universe, theoretically. That would, if it could, cover everything in the universe with its whatever, slime. And, so it's all how you paint this picture, whether it's, something people are going to get as being, oh yeah, I get the danger now, or they're not going to get the danger. It just seems if you're too placating to their emotions, then you're just never going to draw this picture dark enough for people to get what the point is. And whatever. All people can do is talk. That's all I got. The only weapon I got so far. Don't have any red button.